Good evening, my zombies, ghosts, and demons. I'm Spookiedave, your horror-loving master of scares. Today we're talking about Nosferatu 2024. It was directed by Robert Eggers, who both directed Vavitch and The Lighthouse. Both great movies I would recommend you watch. Vampires are back, and this time they don't sparkle. Dracula better pack up and get out of the castle as a newer, or should I say older, vampire is moving in. But before we get into the movie, take a quick moment to join the Horde by subscribing to the channel. This really helps the channel grow, and you will be part of the strongest Horde of them all. The Horde is totally an original idea, don't at me. So subscribe to the video and let's get back to the review. Psst, there's gonna be spoilers in a movie review. The movie opens up to Emma, played by Lily Rose Depp. Yes, daughter of the famous actor Johnny Depp. No nepotism there. Who is praying for her guardian angel. Then what's worse, something replies. We hear the voice of our villain, who we will not talk about just yet. Jump cut to years later, when Emma wakes up and she's now married to Thomas, played by Nicholas Hoult. The movie is now about Thomas, by the way. He is now on his way to his job at Knock & Associates Estate Agents. He arrives late, as the people in movies do, and of course there's no consequences for this, which begs me to ask, why do they keep doing the "you're late" trope? Thomas has to travel to Bohemia in the Carpathian Alps to get papers signed to sell the property here in Germany. The people who are buying is this Count Orlok, who is described as very old and eccentric.
Very old and eccentric.
Because when you're rich, you don't go crazy, you go eccentric. Thomas is hesitant, but the boss says that if he secures this account, he will be secure in his position at the firm, a big break for a man who just got married. So Thomas goes to tell his wife, and understandably, she doesn't want him to go. She then tells him about her dream, a dream where she describes getting married to a man cloaked in black, death itself. However, it sounds like she has a lot of these childhood memories, as Thomas puts it, so I can see why he isn't too concerned over them. So Thomas brings Ellen over to his longtime friend Frederick. He is leaving Ellen in his and his wife's care while Thomas is away, because he is afraid her past melancholy has returned, so he doesn't want her to be on her own while he is gone. The night before his trip, Ellen cuts a lock of her hair and puts it into a locket, a nice little charm for Thomas to take with him. Then, the movie cuts to the boss, Orlok, on the floor, naked and surrounded by candles, while he is scribing, I would assume a letter to this count, as he is calling him Lord.
Your lordship, it is entirely as you have demanded. He shall presently be in thy rule, and I shall attend thee here, near the object of thy contract!
Somehow, Orlok, who owns a well-established estate agency in Germany, somehow is affiliated with Count Orlok. Apparently this whole thing has been a setup. Thomas takes off on his journey, which is done on horseback with a single horse. How has he been surviving? I have no idea, as this trip is a 6-week journey. He comes to an inn where outside is a band of gypsies, just having music, dance, and a whole lot of fun. Then, for no reason, everyone just starts laughing at him. Like, no idea what is funny in this scene, since he is just a guy at the inn standing there. Then the innkeeper comes out and tells them all to get out. No idea why he waited till now to tell them to move on. Thomas tells him he's expected naughty as a Castle Orlok, and of course the guy is telling him not to say the name and crossing off bad luck. The innkeeper tells him to leave, but Thomas offers double for a room. Money is more important than a bit of bad luck, I guess. Thomas then sees people outside at night performing a ritual, or headed to a ritual, where people are praying, they have torches, and a naked woman on a horse. New definition of bareback, I guess. He follows them to a graveyard where they exhume a body, where they spike it through the heart. It spits up a lot of blood. Apparently he is a vampire, or a bum who has a bad habit of sleeping in graves. Until this is explained, I will not rule out either explanation. Then Thomas wakes up, and we believe it was a dream he had. until you see his shoes, which have mud on them. So obviously, he wasn't dreaming. Also, who wears shoes to bed? Shame, shame. So the next day, Thomas makes his way to the castle without his horse. I believe it was stolen, perhaps by the gypsies, as they are all gone too. He enters the woods, where a perfect crossroad exists. Then a carriage comes straight at him. Instead of stepping out of the way, of course, he just stands there and covers his face. Then he looks back at the carriage, which is not only is turned to the side, but there's also no driver to the carriage either. Haunted carriage is here to give him a ride, like a weird past Uber. Finally, he arrives at the castle to see a dark figure standing in the distance. He follows the figure, as it seems to be the only person here. We are now introduced to Count Orlok, being amazingly performed by Bill Skarsgård. Step down, Dracula. Orlok is one hell of a daunting presence. This guy is teleporting around, and he has this heavy, labored breathing, which gives him such an aura, which we will see by Thomas, who is in utter fear of Orlok. During their conversation, Thomas is cutting bread, and of course cuts himself. This, of course, upsets Ulrich. After all, he's smelling dinner. At this point, Thomas is showing he is unwell and is feeling possibly sick with fear. The next night, Thomas meets up with Ulrich again to get the paperwork underway. Orlok then slides him the contract over to Thomas, who cannot read it, as it is written in
the language of my forefathers.
Orlok then wants to see the locket that Thomas has, the one from Ellen. Not wanting to be rude, Thomas lets him look at it. Then Orlok goes into full creep mode and starts sniffing it. Smells like lilac, apparently. Then Orlok whips out an old chest and plops down a bag of coins on the table, as Thomas's commission. Thomas then signs the contract, without being able to even read it. Thomas is saying he wants to depart as soon as possible, but Orlok is like, nope, not a good time to travel while you're ill, gotta stay and rest, my orders. He then leaves, taking Thomas's locket with it. I told you he was a creep. Thomas wakes up in the castle, and oh shit, he's been bit on the chest. So naturally he's trying to flee, but all the doors seem to be sealed up. He's trying to get away, and he wanders into a mausoleum, which is not a good choice. And what does he discover? Orlok taking a nap in a very fancy coffin. He looks dead, like dead. Like he's been there for a long time. Then, out of nowhere, he decides to stab Orlok with a pickaxe, but Orlok wakes up just in time, and like, fully nude. But, you know, like, dude sleeps in the nude, don't judge me here. So then Orlok uses magic to go after Thomas, and ends up feeding on him again, while also making Ellen do weird stuff back in Germany. So Ellen is now having odd fits, and is taking a delusional state. So, what does the good doctor do? Chloroform her, of course! I mean, it's the 1800s, they put that shit on everything.
Frank's Red Hot Sauce, I put that on everything.
Back to Thomas, who's been chased out of his bedroom by wolves, and he falls into a river. And this is the end of Thomas's story. Well, for now, at least. So back in Germany, an asylum finds Knock, the old boss who sent Thomas to talk to Orlok, as he is apparently crazy and eating sheep raw. Like Gordon Ramsay would say,
raw! It's fucking raw! It's real, okay.
So now they're down in the cellar where they see him there, raving mad with dead animals, except a pigeon. But poor pigeon doesn't last long, as Herd decides to have a little snack of its heads, and now I'm not going to show it, but it's pretty bad. Oh, but it's available on my channel as a short, so go check that out. So there's also talk about Ellen being ill, but nothing too important. We'll go past that. Now we jump back to Thomas being found by nuns. Right away they start with getting some sort of weird exorcism on him. They warn him as he to stay there, but he must return to his wife to save her from Orlok. So Frederick and the doctor are now trying to find someone to help Ellen. As normal doctors don't seem to be of any use, they turn to a special doctor, one who deals with occult, curses, and black magic. Here we're introduced to Professor Von Franz, played by the great actor William Dafoe.
My dear young Sivas.
Oh, do my dying eyes deceive me? I should have known. Embrace me, my boy. I am so rejoiced to see you.
And he seems to know what's going on. Perhaps the stars have told him. On the other side, Orlok is now traveling to journey in a ship. And of course, he's in a nice little sealed box. But that doesn't stop his horrid evil from plaguing the ship. Literally. As the crew starts coming down with a bad case of the plague, Orlok's power seems to have no limits. And even being sealed inside of a box and his coffin doesn't seem to stop the evil from spreading. Now, back to the doctor. Wow, all this jumping back and forth is going to give me motion sickness. So, Franz does a checkup on Ellen, and when night falls, deducted that she is in another realm. My girl is totally dreamwalking. After she's going full possessed mode, Franz believes she is cursed and held by a spirit. That's a bit of an understatement, as the Lord of Darkness is on the way to steal her up. Now, Nock has fallen over in the asylum as they strapped him to a chair. Good old-fashioned psychiatry there. But this is most useful to him, as someone comes to help him up, and he takes a big old chomp of the guy's neck. Then he escapes, like the old loon that he is.
He's here! He's here! His lordship is here! The blood is alive!
In the same night, Thomas returns upon a horse, with a beard and one of those cool fur hats that, Russians usually have. So finally, Ellen and Thomas are reunited. And while they're reuniting, someone's banging on the door. Frederick's kids, of course, believe it to be a monster, as they've been raving about it the whole movie. This is the town guard, and since Frederick is the shipmaster, he's called to the docks. Here they find an abandoned ship, wrecked and beached upon the stone docks, and pouring from the ship is hundreds of rats. The plague has reached Germany.
My God.
Plague. It's a plague ship.
Alert the port authority. And fetch Dr. Sivas.
And at some point, Nock managed to get Orlok's coffin and bring it to the old manor, the one that Thomas sold to him. The streets are now filled with rats, and plague has taken the city. Ellen talks to her friend while Thomas is resting, and her friend says it's close to Christmastide. So apparently this is a Christmas movie. Slide over, Die Hard. It's a new Christmas movie. So now the doctor and Franz are in the coroner's room with dead bodies, and as they examine a dead man, they find that it is void of all blood. Seeing a bite wound on the chest, and hearing how Nock escaped, Franz realizes no mere plague. Now, Frederick's family sleeps, and he is out talking to Franz as he explains why they're dealing with is a vampire Nosferatu.
We are here encountering the undead plague carrier. The vampire. Nosferatu.
They said the name of the movie. Now Ellen is awake by Orlok making his way into her room. Orlok says now he wants to get with her. Ew, he's like more than like twice her age here. Like, gross. Orlok then explains that the contract Thomas signed, the one he couldn't read, turns out he absolved his nuptial bonds and sold Ellen to Orlok for that sack of gold. Talk about a shady deal. Ellen then denies Orlok, as one does when old creeps perv on you. He then gets pissy and says he will give her 3 nights, and from that moment he will be slaying everyone she loves, until the 3rd night when he will kill Thomas, because this deal has to be of her own free will. Yes, because duress totally is someone's free will. Ellen wakes from this, because, of course, it was a spooky dream. However, her friend is lying on the ground, being bitten and eaten by rats while she's still alive, all while you hear Orlok's voice saying, 2 more nights. So now, with the plague and everything happening, Frederick is distraught, and his wife is now ill. He decides to send Ellen and Thomas home. Then, Franz and the doctor decide to investigate Nock, and his building is boarded up? Well, there goes all that hard work in establishing a business. While they are there searching the place, they find a cabinet filled with dark magic stuff, like skulls and stars. Then they pull up the rug to find a large symbol carved into the floor, the same mark as Ulrich's mark. Thomas and Ellen are at home now, and finally Ellen tells Thomas about her past and how she was involved with Orlok, the nightmare she has been dreaming every night, and how she knows Orlok has come back for her. And now they have a lover's fight. Nothing too interesting there. At night, Orlok curses Frederick not to wake, and then you hear the screaming of the children. Apparently their monster is finally here. Anna goes running back to check on the children.
Have you checked the children?
And there, standing in the room, Orlok, feeding on the children, both of them dead and drained. Orlok turns to Anna, and it all cuts to black. After is the funeral. The team is together now to take down Orlok. However, Ellen tells Franz that she knows what she must do to kill him, and Franz tells her he believes in her as she's the only one who's capable of destroying such an evil. As it is a curse, she's the only one who can break it. Evening comes, and the group go to Orlok's manor to slay him, even though Franz knows it is a false hunt. When they get there, there's a room filled with rats, and the dark coffin waits at the end. The doctor opens the coffin, and Thomas plunges in the iron stake down, only to find her knock inside the coffin. And Thomas then finds out that Franz knew that Orlok wouldn't be there. So he rushes home to try to save Ellen, who is, by the way, is getting ready for Orlok as she stands in a wedding dress. Orlok arrives, and they embrace, and Orlok feeds on her as well. But soon the sun rises, and Orlok, who must be within his coffin during the day, is across town from it. Plus, Franz also made sure to burn down the whole manor. Thomas arrives as Ellen is just a few breaths from life left. Then, both her and Orlok lay dead. The vampire Nosferatu is no more. Alrighty, so that was the movie Nosferatu. I guess it's time to give it my own rating. Well, here we go. So, starting off is the atmosphere. I think it's got great atmosphere, dark and somber, plus the music and sound really gave the hopelessness, and as the color just drained from the movie, as you would expect from a great horror vampire movie. So for that, I'd say 5 out of 5. So, good job on that. Scariness of the movie, although it is a horror, I'd give it like, I don't know, like a 2 out of 5. Like, it has 1 or 2 jump scares, but there was really no scare at all. So, yeah, 2 out of 5 on that one. Ending. Well, the ending was pretty interesting. However, I did feel like we were kind of robbed of some type of final confrontation. The hero, Thomas, didn't really get to do anything. I mean, all of his bravery at the end, where he's finally going to go and battle Orlok after his big, thing with him. It's like, it's just nothing. It was all for naught, because it turned out that he just literally laid down and died. So I'd have to say it's still decent. So I'd say about 4 out of 5 for the ending. The villain. Oh, here we go. Oh my god. Orlok is my new favorite vampire. I love how dark and magical he is. Plus, he has that strong aura of menacing. Definitely a 5 out of 5. He is just fantastic. Bill Skarsgård played him so amazingly. Like, if that was a vampire in real life, I would be terrified of it. And lastly, characters. As for characters, I really think there was too many of them. And often they just kind of seemed either there or they just didn't add anything to the story. Like, the doctor was replaced the moment Franz became in the picture. Frederick really didn't do a whole lot, and his family was just there to be kills for the villain. Thomas was great, though. I did like Thomas. So, 3 out of 5. So with those scores, I give Nosferatu a 75 on my spooky scale. And given that Rotten Tomatoes give it an 85 and audience a 73, I'm pretty much in the majority with this. So my final thoughts overall it was a good movie. Like, very solid and a great watch. A great horror for people who don't actually like horror elements a lot. With, like, no jump scares and very little gore. It is a nice, tame movie to show your non-horror loving friends. Is it rewatchable? Maybe. Just to enjoy Orlok, I guess, some more. Because nothing really to gain from a second watching. So I'd say a maybe on rewatchable. And lastly, would I recommend it? I would recommend this movie. It was great, and I really liked it. Definitely one of those, I would say, definitely thumbs up. I really liked it. So, thank you all so much for watching my very first movie review. I hope you like it. Let me know your favorite vampire movie down below in the comments. Also, check out my Patreon. I don't have very much set up there, but it would be greatly appreciated if you could go there and help this channel get going. But if not, that's cool too. But make sure to subscribe, as it is free. And remember, for the Horde!